Australian Championship Final 2025, full match highlights and grand final madness, NRL decider. In the electric silence just before the first whistle, when 83,500 souls at Accor Stadium held their breath as one, did anyone truly believe they were about to witness more than a game? Did they know they were watching the night an entire sport remembered why it exists? October 5th, 2025. Sydney's sky burned violet and gold above a cauldron of noise. The Australian Championship Final. Penrith Panthers, chasing an unthinkable fourth straight premiership. Melbourne Storm, the wounded empire desperate to reclaim the throne they once ruled without question. Two dynasties, one strip of grass, and a nation that had waited 364 days for this single heartbeat. Please like, share, and subscribe for more Sport Talk content. The teams walked out through tunnels of smoke and fire. Nathan Cleary, eyes like steel, carrying the hopes of a mountain city that had learned to dream because of him. Cameron Munster, jaw set, the last warrior of a Melbourne era that refused to fade. You could feel the history pressing down on the turf like an extra defender. Kickoff. The ball hung in the spring air longer than it had any right to. When it finally dropped, the collision was biblical. Bodies flew. The roar that followed wasn't sound. It was a living thing that wrapped itself around every heart in the stadium. 8 minutes in, the moment that will be replayed for generations. Dylan Edwards, blood streaming from a reopened cut, takes a bomb under pressure, spins out of 3 tackles, and somehow finds Cleary on the inside. 40 meters out. One-on-one with the greatest fullback of the modern era. Time slowed. Cleary steps again, then unleashes a left-foot spiral that kisses the corner flag like it was guided by destiny. The Western Stand erupted so violently that television cameras shook. Halftime came and went in a blur of disbelief. 14-12 Panthers. Melbourne answered every blow. Munster's flick passes carving holes. Harry Grant darting like lightning from dummy half. Yet every time the Storm surged, Penrith found another gear, another body to throw in the way. Another miracle. Then the turning point. 72nd minute. Scores locked at 18-all. A dropped ball deep in Melbourne territory. Scramble defense. Cleary picks up a loose pass off his bootlaces, looks up, and sees the post 65 meters away. The stadium inhales. He strikes it pure. The ball sails, hangs, kisses the crossbar, and drops over. The noise that followed was so primal that players on both teams stood frozen, hands on heads, staring at the sky as if God himself had just intervened. The final 5 minutes were pure chaos. Melbourne threw everything. Wave after wave crashed against black jerseys that refused to break. With 30 seconds left, Ryan Papenhuyzen breaks the line, only Cleary to beat. One last step, one last tackle. Cleary wraps him up, drives him into touch, and holds on until the siren screams. The stadium detonated. Grown men wept openly. Children were lifted onto shoulders. Strangers embraced like brothers. Social media exploded within seconds. Cleary legend trended worldwide before the players even reached the dais. From Bondi cafes to Darwin pubs, from London living rooms to Los Angeles sports bars, the footage looped endlessly. The drop goal, the tackle, the tears. Australia, for one perfect night, forgot every divide and remembered only that it was home to the toughest, most beautiful game on earth. This wasn't just a grand final. It was the night rugby league reminded the world why it matters. In an age of cynicism, Penrith played for something older than contracts, something written in the DNA of every kid who ever taped up their ankles in a suburban change room. They played for the mates who never made it, for the parents who drove them to 6 a.m., training sessions, for every small town that measures summers by how far their team got. It was the night Melbourne, proud and defiant even in defeat, reminded everyone that greatness isn't measured in trophies alone. Craig Bellamy stood on the sideline, arms folded, eyes wet, applauding the team that finally ended his reign. There is honor in that. There is immortality in that. And it was the night Nathan Cleary, the quiet kid from Mount Druitt who once cried when he missed a junior rep trial, became the greatest big game player Australia has ever produced. 4 premierships before 30. 4 Clive Churchill medals. 4 moments when the weight of a state, a code, a childhood dream rested on his left boot, and he never blinked. The medal ceremony felt sacred. Brian To'o, tears cutting tracks through the dirt on his cheeks, cradling the trophy like a newborn. Jerome Luai laughing through sobs. Liam Martin, the the country boy turned gladiator, staring at the Provan Summons trophy as if he couldn't believe it was real. And Cleary, standing at the back, letting his teammates take the spotlight, the way he always has. Later, when the microphones found him, his voice was soft, almost shy. "This one's for my dad," he said. "He never got to hold it as a player. Tonight, I got to do it for both of us." The crowd, already spent, found one last roar. Dylan Edwards, Clive Churchill medal around his neck, added, "We didn't win for history. We won for the bloke next to us. That's always been enough." Cameron Munster, gracious in heartbreak. "They were better. Simple as that. But we'll be back." That's what this game does. It breaks you, then teaches you how to stand up again. Craig Bellamy, voice cracking, "I'm proud of every single one of them. Tonight wasn't the end. It was just proof we still belong." Years from now, when children ask what rugby league felt like at its peak, show them October 5th, 2025. Show them the drop goal that defied physics. Show them the tackle that saved a dynasty. Show them the tears of men who gave everything and discovered it still wasn't enough, and the joy of those who found out it was. Because on this night, under Sydney's violet sky, 22 Warriors didn't just play a game. They reminded a nation what it means to care about something bigger than yourself. They reminded us that sport, at its purest, is love made visible. This is why we watch. This is why we cry at full time. This is why, long after the confetti is swept away and the bruises fade, the memory of one perfect night will still make our hearts race. Penrith Panthers, 2025 Premiers. 4 in a row. A dynasty written not in ink, but in courage, in sacrifice, in the unbreakable bond between teammates who became brothers. And somewhere, in a quiet moment after the celebrations, Nathan Cleary looked at the trophy one last time and whispered the words every kid who ever pulled on a jersey dreams of saying, "We did it." That, more than any scoreline, is the legacy of the 2025 Australian Championship Final. Not the points, not the medals, but the reminder that when human beings decide to leave everything on a field for each other, something close to magic happens. And on this night, magic wore black. If you want a shorter version, more dramatic version, or a YouTube voiceover pacing